DJ Metal Craig of Craig's Metal Storm here, and one of the members of Ted Axe with me today. Hey, how's it going? Would you like to introduce yourself and what position you do in the band?
Well, these are the universal devil horns for musicians, right? So, giving everybody those, of course. I am Ted Axe, and I'm lead vocalist, head writer, if you will, of Ted Axe. Really, it's my band, and we've been rocking out for a couple of years here.
Right on, man. Good to have you back on the airways for another interview with me, buddy.
Yeah, man. Last time I spoke to you, it was, 2020 or something?
2019 or 2020, somewhere around there.
Right.
Yeah, it's been a while, but we're back on air now, and we're ready to kick ass tonight and have a good talk. Would you mind going back in the history of Ted Axe and how the band all got started? My usual question.
Well, as long as I'm not blinding anybody, let me just, can I do this? Yeah, there seems to be a light there in my face here. Just a sec. Hold on. No, still going on. All right. What was the question?
Would you mind going back in the history of Ted Axe and how the band all got started?
Yeah, 2019 actually is when the band started officially, but I had been writing the material since about 2018, and 2019 was our first gig at the Opera House in Toronto, which is like a massive venue, like guys like Gary Newman play there and all that. So that's where our first gig was, and it was like I think it was February 2019 when the band officially started. But I've been writing material for my album before then, and really, it was people helped me get it together. In the end, I kind of felt like a bystander in the process. Other people kind of took over the thing, even though it was under my own name. So was kind of half and half, feeling good about it because we had some guys in the band that were, total control freaks, and wasn't really happy about that.
You're good on that question? You answered what you wanted to of it?
Yeah, yeah.
All right, I was just all checking. I didn't know if you had more dad or not. Just thought I'd ask before we got into the next question, which is a good
Right.
one. Who designed the Ted Axe band logo?
It was actually one of the guys in the band at the time. It was the bass player, whose name was Chris Ritchie. And he was in a major Kiss tribute band at the time, as well as mine. I think it was Destroyer out of Toronto. So he was the Gene Simmons guy, but he designed the video. He designed the logo, and uh, he left the band soon after. So he just left me with the logo. So that was great. It's kind of a cool logo, It's kind of edgy, and it's not really like a big metal band logo where you can't really make it out, but it does have that aspect towards the T of Ted Axe, which is kind of, forked and blending the E. Got a bit of that, but you can still make out there it reads Ted Axe.
Right.
Black, red and black, kind of vampire colors.
Go ahead and finish. Sorry, the audio lagged a bit.
That was it. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that was it. That's it basically, man.
All right. I didn't know you were finished. I thought I cut you off for a second. That's why I said go on ahead and finish. Because sometimes with this laptop of mine, the
Right.
audio and the thing lags a little bit because I'm not too close to the Wi-Fi. But we'll just continue on to the next question. Who's
Okay.
all in the current lineup of TED Axe, and what instruments do they play?
Yeah, well, we just got a new member this past weekend. On bass, his name is Ash. Amador Ash, as an ASH. Derek Dark on rhythm guitar, Stefan Sinister on drums, and Leslie Lucifer on lead guitar.
Right,
That's the current lineup.
right on. That's cool, man. And just so you know, I forgot to mention this earlier. That Ted Axe logo is absolutely cool and amazing, man.
Thanks, man.
What are the band's immediate music career goals?
Well, funnily, you should ask that because we decided to enter Canada's Got Talent, and the casting agents called us up, and after we entered, and said, "Why don't you guys do a genre bending tune as a video to submit, rather than just your original rock material?" You know, in Canada's Got Talent, they're always looking for something bizarre and different. I don't know if you've seen the show or not, but
I
it's full of magicians and all that. So, and the American one had a couple of rock bands on. So I
see.
think the Canadian, yeah. So they're hip to that idea. So we are a person of interest right now. So that's cool. We don't want to say too much about it. Of course, if you don't get in, you look like an idiot for saying, "We tried out for Canada's Got Talent, but we didn't get in." So we just kind of leave it at that to say we're a person of interest. We're like a band of interest in it right now. The submissions haven't even closed yet, so we have to wait to see if we've been picked or not. Of course, that would be a game changer.
Right on. I see what you're saying, man. Just so you know, I have heard of that show, but I haven't seen it myself.
Okay.
Yeah. Good luck though
Like
with the
a
entry.
talent show.
Yeah, I'll check it out at some point.
It's like Ed Sullivan was in the old days, isn't it? It's like magicians, trapeze artists, acrobats. You have to have something they haven't seen before. And in my case, I think that would be being a vampire, which they haven't actually had. They haven't had any vampires on the show. So I'm hoping that that's where I get in.
Okay. Does does the band have any new material in the works since Sex, Horror, Violence? And if so, when should we be expecting this material to surface?
Yeah, we got a new EP that was released at the beginning of the summer. It's called The Count of Rock. The Count of Rock features 4 songs. No, actually 3 songs. The Count of Rock. So one is Disaster, which is like kind of a real punky tune. Victim of Love, which is kind of a mid-tempo grooving riff tune, and Wedlock, which is again like a real kind of a punky tune. So it's kind of bringing the punk back into my agenda. As you know, I was in Canada's first punk band in the old days, and I was the lead singer in that band called The Action, and we opened up for the Ramones on the tour, 20 city U.S. tour in the States, and the Stranglers' first North American debut tune show. So we got around. But it's been a while since then, so I'm kind of bringing the punk back into it.
Cool, man. Just so you know, I actually have heard of the Ramones and the Stranglers because I'm all over the spectrum with my music. I'm into punk, I'm into hard rock, I'm into heavy metal, I'm into death metal, black metal, trash, grindcore. I'm all over the place, as you probably heard with my shows when you have had the chance to tune in.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a very diverse, interesting show I do.
Cool, man. I hear that. Yeah.
Sorry, just trying to find my place in the questions for it. Great.
Yeah. So The Count of Rock is the new EP. It's on YouTube. All the tunes are on YouTube. Victim of Love by Ted Axe, Disaster by Ted Axe, and Wedlock all produced by Rob Sanzo, the producer who did Sum 41. That's his claim to fame. So we were happy to get him. He also produced the Sex Horror Violence album for us.
Right on. I was going to be into the older material. What made you guys come up with the idea of sex, horror, violence, and when did this album originally come to transition?
Well, Sex Horror Violence came into it, as I said, about 2018. Um, originally I saw the title on a newspaper box in on Yonge Street in Toronto back in the 80s. And I kept it in mind all that time, like for 20 years. And I thought, wow, that was a great title, Sex Horror. It was actually about a story in the newspaper. Sex, horror, violence. It was making people buy the newspaper for sure. So I always remembered that, and I thought that would be a great title for an album. And I wrote a song called Sex, Horror, Violence. So after the song, the album is called after the song, Sex, Horror, Violence. And it's really hasn't changed, has it? So since time has begun, sex first off, horror second off, and violence is what makes people watch. That's what makes people turn the page. That's what makes people watch a show. It's kind of crazy because those are the three things that we don't really want, but definitely our subconscious wants that, and that's what makes us turn the page. So I thought it would be a great branding tool to have that as the album cover, and certainly it's paid off. There's been a lot of interest in that album so far. In fact, one of my friends recently told me that he spends all his days on YouTube, and every so often, like about 20 times a day, actually, my thumbnail comes up from people who've added um, one of the tunes from Sex, Horror, Violence to their playlist.
That's cool, man.
And that's like gold, man. You know what I mean? They don't have the link, but they've added the song to their playlist. So there's something going on. I think the song is Get Out of Rehab, which is the big song on the album. And of course, Get Out of Rehab is the first tune on the album, Sex, Horror, Violence by Ted Axe. And it was really written about a guy I met in the park on a Sunday morning at 6 a.m. He already had a case of beer open, a 20 case of 24, and he had just escaped from rehab. How he got the case of beer at 6 a.m. in the Sunday morning, I don't know, but must have got it the night before, obviously. So he was in the park drinking. He came up to me. I was doing something else completely, and he started talking to me about this and about his escape. And I wrote a song about it.
Right on. That's cool, man. And just, this next one is a really good one. How many years have the members of TEDx all known each other?
Well, actually, as in any band, I don't know if it's as in any band, but certainly in my bands, I've had a bunch of different lineups. This lineup has really only known each other. Like I've known my drummer since 2019, but everybody else is relatively new, like a year old. And I just got a new bass player, so really the drummer is kind of Stefan Sinister has been the guy to stick with me, and other lineups have ensued after him. So that's kind of the way it goes in bands, isn't it? It's not like we were all blood brothers or, came from the same high school. Like Alice Cooper, in fact, came from the same high school and we're all art majors, all knew each other, formed a band. But no, this isn't it that like that. And in the modern times, you're lucky if you keep a band member for a year before they get pissed off, go. not enough money, not enough action, whatever. So I'm lucky that I've had a good crew for about a year. I'm just adding a new bass player now.
Right on. And this next one's a really good one. Who are the band's musical influences?
Oh, yeah, I didn't see that one initially, but originally when I was 15, I was playing hooky from school, which I often did. So I hated fucking school and took off from school about 2 p.m. one afternoon, hitchhiked. Hitchhiking was still in vogue, by the way. Hitchhiked. And got picked up by the Alice Cooper Roadies. So I was on the way to the Alice Cooper show. But the Roadies actually picked me up to go, there's a kind of long haired kid. Let's pick him up. And they promptly offered me a iceberg of Peruvian cocaine to the back seat where I was, and a dollar bill and a razor blade. I didn't even know what to do with it. So he said, you put that through your nose, put that up your nose. So when I got to the concert, I could hardly feel my legs. They were numb, with the Novocaine and the coke. So I realized why roadies do coke, because they can't actually feel their limbs when they bang them on the hockey boards going into the arena or whatever. Anyway, that was my take on it. And I saw the show from the sidewalk monitor, on top of the sidewalk monitor, just behind the main PA stacks, and like about 5 feet from the main guitarist, from the lead guitarist. So, and about 10 feet from Alice on a side profile. So I was totally influenced by that and still am to this day. And, the Alice Cooper band was a lot different back then. It wasn't this kind of mega posturing rock extravaganza that's on tour with um that's on tour right now. So it was kind of much cooler. It was like Alice was wasted. He was, I think he was on a 24 of JD a day. uh, so I'm not saying alcohol makes you cool, but it was a different animal. And the band was much cooler, I thought. And the material was, of course, his strongest to date. He never really did write better material before Nightmare. Uh, Welcome to My Nightmare, which I thought was kind of crap. Before that, it was really cool. So I was really interested in that. And then later on, I thought David Bowie was really cool. So I guess it's kind of like a mixture of Bowie and Alice Cooper, mixed with a bit of Bauhaus and Sex Pistols.
That's awesome, man. Just so you know, I actually am a fan of the Sex Pistols too. They're pretty cool stuff. The one that's my favorite is the one Anarchy in the UK
Of course,
by Sex
big anthem.
Pistols.
Yeah, big anthem. And I went to England in 76, 1976. I went to England. And so when I came back from England, I knew all the secrets of punk, I thought, and I formed my own punk band, The Action. And The Action were kind of straight, actually, guys who really weren't into punk at all. They were much more into Rory Gallagher and the Stones. So it became a kind of an amalgamation between the two. But yeah, I'm bringing the punk back in. The Count of Rock is the newest thing by Ted Axe. It's the new EP, and it's been doing well, man. Doing well.
Does the band have any band gear endorsements?
Well, we are looking into an endorsement by this guy who started a company called Axe Guitars. And of course, he's picked us to be his main, band. So that's interesting. I don't want to say too much about it because he's just kind of getting onto the web right now and starting it out. But looks like it's going to be cool because he's got some amazing guitar engineers behind it. Axe, yeah, the Axe guitars.
What do you see the foreseeable future of Ted Axman like? Are there plans to keep going?
Well, of course, there's this TV show. If we did get on that, it would change our game plan because bands that get on this show, even if they don't win, get all sorts of emails and calls and texts from companies that want to be involved with them because they can use that as leverage that they were on the show. So we're looking into that. Failing that, we're still going to be on our path to stardom, which is completing shows that we booked well into January, smaller and mid-sized clubs in Toronto and the GT area, which is the Greater Toronto area. And I know you have a question about a tour coming up. We have a tour coming up for Ontario and Quebec right now. So that's going to be coming into effect in January, February, March, May.
Okay. How has your sound for TEDx changed over the years you've been around? Has there been improvements in the writing process, musically, lyrically, or where do you think the band strengthened the most?
Yeah, man. It's been this pretty much the same. I'm mining that era of '70s rock that I'm familiar with. Mott the Hoople, Alice Cooper, um, a bit of Queen, a bit of Zeppelin, a bit of AC/DC, and quite a bit of Bowie, bringing some elements like Bauhaus into it. In fact, one of my songs, Isolate, which is our new video from June 2023, has gotten 1.7K, 1.8K views right now since June. So that's doing very well. And that's Isolate by Ted Axe. And I just got that tune played at a goth club where I go dancing on Saturdays sometimes. It's called Dracula's Daughter. And of course, me being, they call me the Count of Rock, Craig. Did you know that?
Yeah, you mentioned that to me in the previous interview
See,
you
there you go.
talked to me about.
The Count of Rock. So I'm kind of a shoe in for Dracula's Daughter, which is the dance night in Toronto. And he wrote me and he said, "Let me play Isolate at my club. I want to see how the kids dance to it." And now there's a video of me kind of somewhat performing the song silently while it's being played at a goth club, and all these kids, like in their early teens and 20s, are dancing to it. So that's a really good sign. Really, it's all about branding, isn't it? TEDx, the Count of Rock, vampires. Basically, that's it, and that goes a long way. People don't really, Craig, I'm telling you, people don't really want the truth. They'd much rather have a lie. That's why bands like Alice Cooper made it, so fast. But that's where we're at right now with that. So, yeah.
Okay, and I'm sorry if I accidentally cut in there for a sec. I didn't know you were still talking. We had a lag there again on the connection.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's about it for that answer.
Okay, cool. Just so you know, this next one, I'm throwing it as an extra. I didn't have it in the question template at first. Do you have any social media outlets? And if so, which ones can you be reached on?
Yeah, we're all over the place like every band. They're on most streaming outfits like us. SoundCloud, Bandcamp, which is kind of obsolete now. Nobody buys your record now, right? So in about 2017, it changed, but nobody actually buys music. So obviously Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple, iTunes, the whole nine yards. That's where I can be reached, and people can reach me on Facebook and Instagram, TikTok. I don't really boast any big numbers, and I find it deplorable in our rock society, as it were, that and any kind of showbiz situation, that people have to say the number of followers before the actual person's name or what their talent is. And I can post a picture of a kitten, a white kitten, in fact, and get the most views of my lifetime. So it's really ironic that people are going that way. But I'm kind of an old school guy, Craig, and I find I'm kind of witnessing the biggest mass addiction in history, which is not to a drug, but to the cell phone. And I find that people are led by their cell phones. They're looking down on their cell phones 24/7. And I find that somewhat suspect. And I think it's because people get a thing going on the cell phone that becomes their fake sight. And then, if you're a man, you get all these women going, "You look so great." And if you're a woman, you get all these men going, "Oh, fantastic. You look so sexy." But it's actually not them at all, is it? It's just their avatar, as it were. So I do find that kind of, I think it's the endorphins that come from comments.
I come from the old school era myself, man. I've actually over here got 300 original horror films and 700 original CDs. I don't want to get too many more because if I blow my place up too much with originals, I won't have room to move around. Because within my music arsenal on my computer, I got almost 280,000 songs right now.
Wow. Cool.
Yeah, that leaves us with three more for the interview. I mean, and then we'll get a couple of station IDs from you. The last one is: are there any plans for touring at this time? And if so, where do you want to set up some shows?
Yeah, as I mentioned, we wanted to get a tour going for Ontario and Quebec at the moment, and that'll be going takes us into the spring. I really actually like playing Quebec because of all Canadian cities. Have you been to Montreal, Craig?
No, I haven't.
You got to go. Montreal is like a city that we wish all Canadian cities were like. It's got a lot of art motivated things going on, and music everywhere in the summer. In the winter, of course, it's a bit colder, like 20 below. But you know, what can you do? But Montreal is French, and the French come from France, and so having said that, France has been always been the artistic country of the world, hasn't it? And so the French Canadians are more laid back, I would say. They they tend to enjoy themselves more. There's an old saying that people live to work in Toronto and work to live in Montreal. So we like to play Montreal. We're going to be playing Quebec City. We're going to be playing all over Quebec, Trois Rivières. We're going to be playing all the towns in Ontario, from Sudbury up north, Kirkland Lake way up north, down to Owen Sound and Hamilton, Sudbury. Thousands of them. So, well, at least hundreds. So that'll take us through the spring. And that'll be the first tour for TEDx. I have a lot of American fangs because that's what TEDx fans are called, fangs, vampire lore and all that. And they want us to come to America real bad, like Texas, Illinois, New York. A lot of people wanting to see us. So we're going to try to get down to America in the coming year.
Cool, man. Just so you know, if you get a chance to and you're on the way down to the U.S., maybe if you have time and you're not in a hurry, you can stop in. We can do a co-host show together here in Winnipeg, Manitoba before you roll out to the U.S.
That'd be great.
Yeah. That leaves us with the second last question of the interview. Would you like to give any shout outs to any friends or family who might be tuned in when this interview is on air?
I'd have to say big shout out to my band members, Stefan Ford, Derek Dark, Leslie Lucifer, and Amador Ash. And also to all my fangs, my TEDx fangs. As you know, Craig, I have the TEDx fangs group on the old Facebook, and the TEDx fangs group and my own profile. Plus, I have a TEDx art page. A lot of people don't know, but I'm actually a trained artist. I won a scholarship for fine art in Los Angeles. And also, I'm a avid animal rescuer, having rescued over 100 dogs in Los Angeles, stray dogs. So I'm a vegetarian and I'm into animal rescue. I'm into art. I have a poetry site called Poetry for the Soul on Facebook. A lot of not so young people still on Facebook. It's kind of embarrassing, isn't it, Craig, that people are still on Facebook, but it's true. And of course, I have my Instagram and TikTok, but I get most of my fang activity on Facebook because a lot of my fangs are older vampires like me. So there you go.
Right, right on. Sorry about that. Had a bit of a frog in my throat for a sec.
Did you? You got a
It
frog in your
happens
throat.
sometimes.
I see it. There it goes. Okay.
Can't help it. Sometimes I have a little bit of gas bubbles because everything with my health and all that. Because back
Oh,
9 years ago, I had a gallstone attack that I lived through.
oh, shite. That must have hurt.
Yeah.
Sorry to hear about that.
It's okay. I'm getting through it. I still got my gallbladder. Completely changed my diet around. I mainly focus on chicken, fish, and rice now.
But Craig, do you really want to eat meat?
I, I ha-
Meat is kind of iffy. Could have been dead for a long time before you ate it. Gotta think about that.
okay, because I have health difficulties. On top of the gallstone attack, I'm protein deficient.
Right, right. You got to go vegetarian, man.
Okay, I'll have to think about that. We'll get into the last question of the interview, though. So the last question of the interview is, what new band news do you have on the TEDx front? As in anything we haven't covered so far in this interview.
Well, it looks like I'm about 300 years old because of the vampire thing. You know, so we live much longer, as you know. So, having said that, I'm doing well, and my band is kind of at a precipice right now where we're headlining a lot of shows. We've been opening for a lot of people. We opened for Wednesday 13 uh, back last year, and we've been opening for a lot of bands like that, LA Guns. So we're opening our own show. We're headlining our own shows now, which is a bit of a precipice. So right now we're dealing with that, and we're going to be doing that tour, which is again is another challenge. We're going to be doing a new video since we got a new member in the band. By the way, my new bass player Amador Ash is only 19. Yeah.
Well,
So with him comes his fans, which were all teenagers. And it's funny, this band, uh, teenagers amazingly love it, like amazingly love it. And so that's the crazy thing about it that teenagers respond more to it than actual people of 30 or 40 or 50. So I'm finding that kind of encouraging.
you good on that question? I'm just checking.
Yeah, man. I think that was it. Um, there is a comic strip that the guy's contacted me. He wants to do a TEDx comic strip, The Count of Rock. So we're looking into that. seeing how much money there is in that for us. Of course, we want to get paid for everything we do, and at the same time, in this business, you just want to do it and not worry about the money so much. I find that bands really kind of miss out on a lot of stuff because they're worried about the money. And at the stage, a lot of times at the stage of a band's career, the money's not that important. It's
I,
really the blood. It's the blood that's important. Got to get the blood, the young blood.
I see what you're saying there, man. And that leaves us with the station IDs now. The first one is, hey, this is Ted of Ted Acts, and you're listening to Mangled Music Radio.
Hey, this is Ted Axe of Ted Axe, and you're listening to Mangled Radio.
Music Radio.
Let's try it again. Try it again, Craig. Mangled Music Radio.
Yes, Mangled Music Radio.
Got it. Sounds good. Let's do it again. Hey, this is Ted Axe of Ted Axe, and you're listening to Mangled Music Radio.
Cool. Thank you very much for that station ID. The last one we need is for my personal show, Craig's Metal Storm.
Oh, yeah. Hey, this is Ted Axe from Ted Axe, and you're listening to Craig's Mental Storm.
Cool. Thank you very much for your time, and thank you very much for the interview, Ted.
Well, thanks a lot, Craig. It's been an amazing interview. Thanks again for interviewing me. I know we had a great interview back in 2020, I think it was.
Yeah, I think it was back then. That one was a little lengthier, but we have had a fun time tonight. We'll set up for another one again soon, buddy. You have yourself a great rest of your night.
Cool, man. Thanks very much, Craig.
Okay, bye.
Cheers.